Manpower planning process. Manpower planning is the first step towards manpower management. It refers to the process of using available assets for the implementation of business plans. It also involves the process of coordinating and controlling various activities in the organization. An effective manpower planning requires a careful assessment of the future needs of the organization. It involves the development of strategies to match the requirement of employees and availability of positions at a regional as well as a national level. Those in charge of manpower planning need to have a foresight about the business plans. It follows from the previous slide that after studying this lesson, you should be able to define manpower planning process, analyze the time scale for manpower forecast, explain the workload factors and methods of wastage analysis, define manpower planning models. We can broadly delineate the manpower planning process into 4 different stages as shown here. Investigation is the primary stage of manpower planning in any organization. In this stage, organizations try to develop their awareness about the detailed manpower scenario with a holistic view, looking at their current manpower. After adequate investigation, in the next phase of manpower planning process, analysis of demand and supply of manpower is done. Manpower supply analysis is done considering both internal and external supply. At the stage of planning and control of manpower, forecasts of manpower are translated into HR policies, which encompass all manpower planning related issues like recruitment, training, and development. In the final stage of utilization of manpower planning process, success is measured in terms of achievement trend, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Determining the time scale of human resource forecasts is very important to decide about their availability and chart the possible action to meet the requirement. Depending on the time scale, human resource or manpower forecast pattern also changes. However, it is not out of place to mention that today's organizations are not catering to such requirement analysis beyond the time frame of 1 to 2 years, as they take decisions on manpower redundancy based on their annual operational results. For better understanding, a tentative table for manpower forecast has been discussed on the screen. When we record employment levels over a period of time, we observe the 5 distinct elements in it. These elements are shown in the table here. Trends are the fluctuations in level of employment over a time period. Cyclical effects are shown by the change in employment in relation to some particular event, like economic liberalization in India or WTO resolutions. Seasonal fluctuations occur more than once in a given time period, like requirements of more maintenance staff in Delhi Vidyut Board during summer and rainy season, while less in winter. Step is a sudden change in employment level due to economic environment or increased market share or procurement of some new machines, etc. Random fluctuations are fluctuations in employment level which are random in nature, that is, such fluctuations do not follow any obvious pattern. There are certain difficulties in manpower forecast using quantitative tools. When productivity data is considered as available to decide about manpower requirement, it is important to understand that productivity rise cannot always be attributable to increased human effort. Thus, increase of productivity due to changes in technology or the sum total of operational and managerial efficiency are the factors which need to be integrated while doing manpower forecasts. But developing manpower planning models integrating the above 2 productivity variables is not so easy for obvious computational difficulty. It is difficult to get units of output in the same form for all jobs. Relationship between output and manpower is not always straightforward. Increase in output may lead to economies of scale and result in cost efficiency and rise in productivity, which may not be attributable to manpower productivity. Effect of factors to improve productivity, that is new technology, incentive schemes, etc., may not be consistent over a time period. Therefore, projecting manpower requirement considering effects of such factors may be inaccurate. Effect of different factors may not always be linear. Interrelationship of different factors complicate forecasting of manpower. The Delphi method is a systematic interactive forecasting method which relies on a panel of experts. The experts answer questionnaires in 2 or more rounds. After each round, a facilitator provides an anonymous summary of the experts' forecast from the previous round as well as the reasons they provided for their judgments. Thus, experts are encouraged to revise their earlier answers in light of the replies of other members of their panel. It is believed that during this process, the range of the answers will decrease and the group will converge towards the correct answer. Finally, the process is stopped after a predefined stop criteria and the mean or median scores of the final rounds determine the results. The nominal group technique (NGT) is a decision-making method for use among groups of many sizes who want to make their decision quickly as by a vote but want everyone's opinion taken into account. The method of tallying is the difference. First, every member of the group gives their view of the solution with a short explanation. Then, duplicate solutions are eliminated from the list of all solutions and the members proceed to rank the solutions first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Analysis of manpower supply at the enterprise level is also done using some quantitative techniques for accurate manpower planning. Wastage is severance from the organization, which includes voluntary retirement, normal retirement, resignations, deaths, and dismissals. Marginal recruitment decisions without wastage analysis may lead to inaccuracies in manpower planning. Labor turnover index indicates the number of leavers as percentage to average number of employees. Stability index indicates stable workforce percentage for a given period. Cohort analysis takes into account the length of service, which is an important variable of wastage analysis. This therefore eliminates the defect of labor turnover index. Cohort analysis is more accurate for a small homogeneous group. Census analysis can eliminate this problem, taking into account a cross-section of the organization, that is, all the age-specific wastage rates at a given time and applying a smoothing algorithm to the resulting data to identify a general pattern. A typical skills inventories include the name of the employee and a listing of job-related skills, training, and/or experience which could prove useful in a future assignment. Now let us discuss some selected models for manpower planning. In hierarchical systems, routes for the employees, which is the promotion ladder, are well defined. It means every employee elevates himself in the organization through a well-defined career path. Renewal model is issued to predict the various flows in the organization when size of the stocks is fixed in advance. Objective of this model is to forecast the manpower flows which are necessary to obtain given numbers of employees in all categories. Here also the situation is observed at equidistant points in time. The actual manpower distribution, the desired manpower distribution in the future, and wastage fractions have to be known. The promotion flows and recruitment are determined by filling vacancies. Optimization model combines the forecasting of manpower availability and the matching with manpower requirement. Here, usually a finite horizon is chosen. Here, a number of goals are established which the decision maker desires to achieve. Such goals may be minimum total salary costs, avoiding overemployment, maintaining certain employment of minorities. Cambridge model concentrates on steady state age distribution, that is, staff distribution by age, which remains unchanged year to year. Steady state is a stable equilibrium. Thus, if the system is affected, that is, if it goes beyond equilibrium, it will tend to return to it. To stimulate is to initiate. In general terms, simulation involves developing a model of some real phenomena and then performing experiments on the model evolved. It is a descriptive and not an optimizing technique. In simulation, a given system is copied and the variables and constants associated with it are manipulated in an artificial environment to examine the behavior of the system. Using simulation, an analyst can introduce the constants and variables related to the problem, set up the possible courses of action, and establish criteria which acts as measures of effectiveness. The benefit of simulation from the viewpoint of the analyst stems from the fact that the results of taking a particular course of action can be estimated prior to its implementation in the real world. A replacement is called for whenever new equipment offers more efficient or economical service than the old existing one. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. Which index indicates a stable workforce percentage for a given period? Stability index. In which technique are the experts given the opportunity to discuss among themselves? Nominal group technique. An efficient trade information system is essential for success in the dynamic global market. Right or wrong? Right. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till so far. Manpower planning process considers both macro and micro level issues. The problem of manpower planning is not unique for Indian organizations. It is now a global phenomenon. Without proper manpower planning, organizations would continue to take manpower redundancy decisions on short-term operational results. The manpower planning process follows certain well-defined stages. At each such stage, it is necessary for the organization to collect data, both macro and micro, analyze those, and then plan for manpower. However, quantitative tools and models may not be effective when used in isolation. Combination of quantitative and qualitative techniques yields better results.